Today, I just got this. It's a queen ant.
So basically, what is up everyone? Today we're reacting to Tara Green, someone we haven't reacted to in a good while. I think it's been a month, almost, since I reacted to him. I could be wrong. I don't remember the last time we reacted to him. I think it was a couple weeks ago.
In this video, we'll be giving birth to an entire colony. They're gonna be put to
You're gonna give birth to ants? First off, you're a boy. Second of all, if you're not an ant.
the test against my simulations of real-world events. But
Did he just try to lunge at that grasshopper? Hold on.
today, I just got this. It's a queen ant, who in this video will be giving birth to an
Those-
entire colony.
That was a trap jaw ant, not these.
They're gonna be put to the test against my
The ants with the big old jaws are trap jaw ants, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, though. But knowing Tara Green, he knows everything about these
simulations
ants.
of real-world
He
events.
just tried to lunge at that.
Currently, she's alone, and she needs to care for her eggs until they hatch into worker ants. And thankfully, it didn't take very long until just that happened. The first worker was born. You see, these are trapjaw ants, a species of ant that has these massive mandibles.
I knew it. It was a trap jaw ant. As I said before, it's a trap jaw ant because the big mandibles. I know a lot about ants. Well, I don't know a lot anymore because I'm not learning about them. Well, I learned about them myself, and then I stopped learning about them, and then I forgot a lot about them.
To cut their prey in half. But they're
Okay.
also absolutely massive compared to normal ants, and the workers are almost the same size as the queens. And in the world of ants, the workers have only one purpose: to serve the queen. Workers do almost everything for the queen.
So that's like, basically, the only purpose for a human, if they have a king, is to serve the king. Basically.
Including cleaning her and even caring for the other eggs. But I want to make
Yep, that sounds like a kingdom.
my colony grow extra fast, and you do that by feeding them food. And since it's so small with just 2 ants, let's just start with a single drop of honey. Hopefully they like it. So I slid the drop of honey into the tube for the ants to eat. And almost
Okay.
instantly, the worker went up to investigate this unknown object. She smelled around it for a second, but then went back to the queen to report the findings. The worker is able to communicate with the queen by rubbing its antenna against hers. When they do this, it releases some pheromones,
What kind of Sweet Home Alabama freaky shat is that?
signaling that it found some honey. And after the queen gave the go-ahead, the worker traveled back to the
Why the queen look like a shriveled up raisin?
honey. But instead of eating it, the worker actually knocked the little plate over, and then the honey soaked into the sand over the next 10 minutes. Yeah, she didn't even try to eat it, actually. You see, it turns out the ant did this for a reason. When a colony is this small, the queen will feed the workers by regurgitating its body tissues into their mouth. This means the colony already had enough food for now. I was gonna have to wait till more ants hatched until they wanted extra food. So, that's
What did I just see? Regurgitate. You know, that's my new favorite word. I'm gonna go around saying I'm gonna regurgitate at you. Which means I'm gonna throw up my food at you. Anyways.
I'm finally home, bro. Oh, great. Are you free next week? Oh, I can't do next week. I'm going to be in Miami.
more ants hatched until they wanted extra food. So that's exactly what I did. There were now 4 workers a part of the colony, and their roles were becoming a lot more apparent. 2 of them would always stay by the queen to make sure she was safe, while the other 2 would watch after the eggs and
So they were both guards. One was guarding the eggs, 2 was guarding the
guard the
queen.
entrance. Now this is a colony that should accept my food offerings. And this time I'm not just gonna feed them a puny drop of honey, it's time for some live prey, baby. Everyone say hello to flightless fruit flies. Quite
Wait, those exist?
literally the most depressing animal in the world. Not only are they absolutely minuscule, but it's a fly that can't fly. Like, bro, you
What's the point of that, then? Like, what's the point of flies in general? Can we nuke them?
had one job and you can't do it. Alright, it's a pretty simple process. So first of all, I got this tube with the flightless
Then what's the point of its wings?
fruit fly inside of it. Basically, I'm just gonna go and put this up to the ant's tube and carefully remove the cotton ball, and there we go. The fly should now run in there. Hopefully this goes better than the honey. And yeah, basically the fly instantly ran into the ant's tube, so I blocked it up behind him. Now, because this fly is so small, for the first few seconds, it actually went unnoticed, hiding amongst the top of the enclosure, but it didn't take long until the first worker noticed. The ant opened up its jaws and snapped at the fly, but it missed. Quickly, the other workers started to notice notice, and soon enough, every ant had their eyes on the fly. And thankfully, about a minute later, one of the workers lined up a shot, and boom. Just like that, the fly
Jeez, they got auto aim.
is definitely not alive anymore. And the fly slowly got taken to the back of the tube to be stored as food for later. Since the colony now had a bit of food, I let them grow even more. And oh boy, was the tube starting to get crowded now, with
Day 53.
3 more workers and 1 more about to hatch. And while this is great for my colony, as you can tell, the tube is getting extremely cramped. Some of the ants can't even walk around. So I'm gonna have to move these guys into a new home. But here on the Terra Green channel, we're not just gonna go online and buy an ant nest. Oh, no, no, no. What I did instead is take out a brick, which I'm gonna turn into an ant nest. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Basically, I just started using a hammer and chisel to carve out this little nest design feature on the brick. You see, ant colonies usually like to have multiple of these little tight crevice areas in their nest because it lets them store different things like eggs, food, and trash in each one. After I finished carving, I gave the whole thing a nice blue paint job, and finally I covered it with a clear acrylic sheet. And the best part is this little hole I made right here, which I can go and squeeze water down into this sponge. And this will just make the humidity across the whole enclosure correct, because apparently ants like wetness. Well anyways, here is the beautiful Terra Green ant nest, which is now ready for the
So you did that yourself. Hey, he's actually doing it.
trapjaw ants. Using some tubing, I put one end of it onto the nest and the other end onto the tube. And almost instantly, one of the workers took an interest and decided to walk down the tube. It had no idea where it led, but it took the brave decision to explore. But as we know, it led straight to the new nest. The worker looked super excited and explored all around the new place. It was the perfect place for the colony to move to. So she traveled out of the nest and went straight up to the queen to report its findings. Alright, now that the ants know about the new nest, in order for them to move in, I have to make this one super appealing so then they all want to come over. And I've got a couple things I'm going to do, but first of all, I've got a tube of sugar water, which I'm just going to go and plug into the side of the nest like that. And then I'm going to replace this clear acrylic sheet for now with this little red acrylic sheet. You see, ants like their nest to be very dark inside, so I'm using this red acrylic because it blocks out pretty much all the light, but still lets me see inside a bit. Finally, I just pointed my Bright Studio light at the tube so they'd be more inclined to move. And it didn't take very long until a few different workers all went in to explore the new nest. Eventually, every ant knew about the new home. And while some grabbed the remaining eggs to move, others, like this worker, escorted the queen through the tube to the new nest. I decided to keep the red acrylic screen on while they're adjusting, and as you can see, they were definitely very active inside. So I left them alone another whole 10 days. And when I came back, not only did another worker or two hatch, the whole colony was now functioning even more smoothly, and it seemed like every ant was always busy doing something. They even found this tight little crevice to keep the queen and all the eggs inside of. And this is where it gets fun, because now that the ants have their own little nest, I can build them a bunch of different outworlds of different environments that they can go and hunt for food inside of. And as you can see, I've got the first little outworld right here. Let me build it. For this first outworld, I want to keep it simple by just laying down some orange sand across the whole enclosure. Then I put in some rocks and a little cactus, which was kind of hard to get planted in the sand. And even though I was wearing these gloves, it kept poking me, and yeah, it kind of hurts. Anyways, finally, the most important...
Just grab it with your hands and put it down and firmly grasp it, okay?
Part is this stuff called fluid.
Kids, don't pick up cactuses. On a serious note, all jokes aside, don't actually pick up a cactus.
Basically, it's a liquid that you dab onto a cotton ball and rub across the top of the enclosure. This stuff will basically just dry on the glass and make the top of the enclosure so slippery that ants cannot escape no matter what. After the desert enclosure was done, I connected a tube from it into the nest.
Can't they just climb on the cactus and then, you know, climb out?
So the ants could go there. And soon enough, I saw a worker come out into the tube, and of course she made her way over to the desert outworld and started to explore all around it. Now the reason for why I built this outworld. I want to test the trapjaw mandibles to see if they can take down prey bigger than them. I'm gonna put a cricket in here. So without wasting any time...
California girls were unforgettable days.
So without wasting any time, I dropped the cricket in, and it didn't take very long until the cricket came across paths with an ant. You see, trapjaw ants have these little hairs inside of their jaws to detect when prey is within striking distance. It lunged at the cricket and snapped its jaws, but it missed. The ant tried to attack the cricket a few more times, but all of the shots were missing. In fact, it was taking so long that the cricket made its way into the tube and crawled all the way into the nest with...
Oh no. Oh
and
no.
all the other ants. Now, it wasn't just about food. The colony needed to take down this cricket in order to make sure the queen didn't get hurt. While the cricket frantically ran around, almost all of the workers were taking their shots to try and cut off the cricket's leg or something. It was taking a long time, but eventually this worker here really put in some focus to line up her shots. And when she snapped, she perfectly got a hold of the cricket. She then picked it up and slammed it against the floor until it stopped moving. Yes, it's extremely brutal, but the colony had now successfully eliminated the threat and stored it away as food for later. Anyways, over the next few days, I continued to monitor the colony to ensure their eggs were all growing fine, and even fed them a bit more flightless fruit flies until finally it was day 97. The colony now had 12 workers, and of course the queen. But I did actually notice over in the corner of the nest, one of the ants had curled up and had died. It's likely that this dead ant here was one of the founding workers, because sometimes those first ants only have the lifespan of a month or two. Anyways, despite the dead ant, the colony was actually still thriving. And because of that, I think this colony is now ready for an entire new
The ant died? Wow.
outworld to be built. Because as you can see, they kind of just turned the desert into like a trash dumping ground. So I got out the enclosure and started to build it. For this enclosure, I'm literally making the floor out of just this fake grass material that is nice and bright and green. And for the decorations, I'm keeping it very simple with just these two little pieces of bark. And finally, I just hooked up some tubing so the ants could access the new place. I didn't want to rush them though, so I gave the colony a few days to explore it on their own. And all of the ants were fine on day 98 and day 99.
The fact that he made this with only a brick surprises me.
But I came back on day 100 to just a single ant in the nest. I was really confused, but surely they were all just exploring the outworlds or something. So I checked the desert and nothing was there. Then I checked the grassy outworld. Still not a single ant. But then I found it. The tiniest gap under the red acrylic. Barely visible. But it was just big enough for every ant to be able to escape through it overnight. Except the one. And this wasn't just any ant inside of here. It was the queen. Queens don't just leave the nest unless other ants escort them. So she was here all alone on day 100. Just like she was on day 1. This is seriously so crazy. I mean, I had such cool plans for day 100, but I can't find a single worker ant literally anywhere. I checked all around the table. I figured there was only one right thing to do. So I got a cotton ball, I scooped the queen up onto it, and put her into a new test tube. She had raised the start of a colony all by herself once, so she should be able to do it again. Let's reset the day counter and do this one more time.
Subscribe for part 2. There's a part 2? Well, knowing it's a year ago, probably.
Every Walmart Plus member knows with
California gears were unforgettable
With my
days.
I just found this video where a guy named Coyote Peterson lets a black widow crawl all over his arm. Watching this made me think that maybe black widows weren't as vicious as I thought, and maybe I could keep one as a pet. And so I found a random sketchy website.
Isn't that the guy who lets animals bite him? And who was almost died by it? If I'm not wrong.
That'll sell me just that. Why do they even sell these as pets, bro? I don't know. Let me just add this to the cart. And thanks to the one-day deliveries,
$40 for a spider.
literally the next day, I opened up my door to the package. Okay, there we go. I guess this should be the Black Widow. And I genuinely think this is the most venomous pet I've kept on the channel. But anyways, let's go open this up. So I brought it to my table and opened the package up. After carefully taking out the packing material, I then took out the container that had a Black Widow spider inside. Oh, nah, here it is. A literal Black Widow. But I did just figure something out because apparently I didn't order just one of these. If you look down in this box, I actually ordered 2 more.
Why?
Yeah, apparently I accidentally placed the order for a 3-pack, so now I have 3 Black Widows. But I wanted to take a closer look, so I opened up a container to let a spider out.
That makes sense why it's $40 for a Black Widow if you're getting 3 of them. But $40 for a spider?
I guess it was a bit dizzy because instantly it fell on its back to reveal that iconic red hourglass shape, which warns you that this spider is nothing to mess around with. It has a potent bite. Oh, shoot, it's trying to escape. Put it in the container. Okay. I gotta be more careful with these things, man. But these 3 spiders aren't gonna spin webs in these tiny containers. They were gonna need a proper enclosure, which I needed to build by first covering a bunch of spray foam with dirt and...
I'm not gonna lie, that looks like straight up diarrhea.
wood chip stuff to make the background. But in the middle, I put in this rock background and spray foamed normal rocks to it. You see, I'm gonna separate the enclosure into a forest, a cave, and a home interior to see where black widows like to make webs and hunt the most. For the home interior part, I got a piece of styrofoam and painted a brick pattern onto it to, make it look like a brick wall like a lot of homes have. And so I spray foamed that in, and the background was now complete. And now we gotta do the web building bases. Basically, what that means is we just put sticks and stuff so the spiders can spin their webs in here.
Okay.
To start, I'm gonna lay down a simple substrate across the entire enclosure that I'll be able to customize to each environment. But first of all, the forest, and as I'm sure you can imagine, we're gonna put some wood in here, just enough on the two sides for a solid web to be made in between. And then I'm even gonna glue some moss coming down from the ends of the branches so it sort of looks like leaves on a tree. And then I'm gonna get this bag of leaves that I bought, and don't ask me why I didn't just pick them up from outside. I don't know why I bought these. But anyways, with those, I scattered them along the bottom so it looked like a forest floor with all the fallen leaves everywhere.
You bought leaves, and you could have picked them up.
And last but not least, I got some tiny rocks and scattered them around too. Just a few, because I gotta save most for the cave.
Bro just flexing money.
And speaking of the cave, we're gonna start right away by laying down some rocks, because that's pretty much all they got. But as you can see in this photo, there's actually a bunch of these pointy rocks called stalagmites. And I think they would work perfectly in my enclosure, so let me get some. Alright, so I've got a big rock and a hammer right there, so I guess let me just try to carve some of those stalagmites out of this. So I guess I'll just go and try and hit it. I don't really know if this is gonna work, but gonna break. Eventually, after a bit of hitting, I got a few pieces that, when connected, sorta looked like stalagmites, so I went and attached them together with spray foam. And then, using more spray foam, I stuck them all into place, pointing up in the cave section of the enclosure.
Okay.
Finally, I went and sprinkled some normal colored rocks around, and then some different colored rocks around, because, yeah, we literally just put rocks everywhere for this section. Alright, once the spray foam dries, I'm gonna go in and paint it, but for now, let's work on the home interior section. And to start, I've got this carpet-like material, which I'm gonna cut out to shape, and then I'm just gonna go and put it in there, and boom. Now I need to get some mini home furniture in here that the spider will be able to spin his webs from, and my only idea for how I can get that is to build it with some Legos. So yeah, let's get building, baby.
Legos.
First of all, using black bricks, I stacked them up to make this little lampshade thing. Then with some red bricks, I made a tiny little couch. Now a chair made of brown bricks. Finally, I just took the rest of my bricks to make a randomly color assorted red and white shelf. Yeah, I'm a master builder, as you can tell. Anyways, I went and put each of those inside and even got some little dollhouse furniture to fill in the dead space, and boom, shakalaka, that's what I call a home house interior. I know a lot of black widows love to live inside houses, so one of them should definitely like this place. But the next step on the list is to get some plants, like always. So, you already know, let's go to the plant store. First of all, I went to Walmart and just got a couple tiny plants for the forest section of the enclosure, but then I also drove to Home Depot, which I knew would have a slightly larger selection. And basically here, I want to get something that's going to work for the cave, and ooh, something like this actually could work as like draping vines or something. That'll actually work perfect. Then finally, I went to Office Max. Now, you might be wondering what plants I'm going to get at Office Max, but actually, I'm not even getting any plants. I'm actually going to be printing out some pictures to put as paintings in the house interior. Oh yeah, baby, look at these paintings. Let's go.
Wow. Bro, what is he cutting?
Oh yeah, baby, look at these paintings.
No promo.
Let's go. When I got home, I first put the two land plants in the forest section, which as you can see, I ended up getting a beautiful red plant to match the red on black widows. Then I took apart the plant from Home Depot and glued the vines coming down from the top of the cave section. Finally, I glued some more moss all along the forest section because I felt like it wasn't green enough. And then I added a bit of this dead type of fern moss along parts of the cave because I felt like it matched pretty well. Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part, the stupid AI generated pictures for the house interior. So I cut them out and glued them along sides of the brick wall. There were many great works of art, like a black widow flying in the sky with wings, a black widow dancing in a disco room, and a black widow eating a male after mating, which yes, they actually do that in the wild. Now you see, in the wild, black widows are actually cannibals towards other female black widows, which means my three black widows cannot be able to access each other, or, they probably eat each other. So I've got these acrylic sheets, which should act as good separators. So I went and measured them to size and then cut them out. There we go, that fits perfectly. And now, last but not least, I'm gonna put in one of these reptile fogger.
You should have done that beforehand. Like, before even decorating or putting anything in there. You should put that in there at first, but You should have done that, like...
Basically, when you turn this dial, it spits a bunch of fog out the end of this tube. Black widows love a high humidity to make their web, so this should encourage them to do that quickly. And well, I would say this enclosure is now 100% complete, but that does mean I gotta actually let the black widows loose in here, which I'm kind of scared to do, but let's just do it. And as you can see, I've got the 3 black widows in their own little containers. So I've got the first one. Let's let this guy loose into the forest. Then I'm gonna put the second one into the cave section like that. Then finally the third black widow in the home interior section. And while all the spiders were now in their new home, I took an interest to the one in the forest area. You see, this one immediately started to crawl all around her new home and even made her way up to the roof of the enclosure. There on the roof, you can see she started to walk around with a little strand of silk coming out the end of the abdomen. She was already building a web. Spiders, of course, do this to catch prey, and black widows in specific have some of the strongest silk out of any spider, which is somehow produced in these little silk glands that they have. Anyways, I left the black widow to continue with that, and the next day I came back and opened up the top of the enclosure. You can see the area where she was constructing the web, and now she was hiding in this little crevice. So much for building this enclosure. I built all this forest area just for the spider to make her web right in this little area. Well, at least she has something, because that means now I can try and feed her a bunch of different types of food to see which they like the most, starting with mealworms. Now, I wanted to start small, and as you can see, these mealworms I bought are absolutely minuscule. They're barely the size of the tip of my finger, but hopefully the spider will still like them. Using some tweezers, I dropped a mealworm straight into the spider's web, and immediately it started to squirm around to try and escape. But spider webs are specifically designed to keep little insects like this stuck in them. All the wiggling around made the black widow come awake, and soon it even crawled out, only to walk right by the mealworm and run away. In fact, this black widow tried to make a grand escape and even webbed down the side of my table onto the floor. Oh, no, do not go under the table, do not go under the table. Anyways, I ended up scooping it into a container, where I then dropped another mealworm in front of him, and once again, he didn't want to eat it. Okay, well, clearly this black widow's not trying to eat any mealworms, so instead, I've got a bag of some tiny little crickets. And these, I'm gonna feed to the second black widow in the...
Can't you just put, like, a layer of, stuff on top of it like you do at the
cave area? Now, if you remember, I put this spider in the enclosure on this little plastic lid where I already had a web. And since putting it in 2 days ago, it still hasn't moved at all. It might be dead, actually. But anyways, I put in some crickets to see if it would eat. And literally right away, one of the crickets jumped towards the spider and jolted him awake, which I guess was a good sign because the spider was now finally moving. But when I tried to bring the cricket back, it scared the spider and it ran away into the cave. I almost lost track of the spider until I came across her again on top of the enclosure where she had somehow escaped to. I tried to feed her a cricket once again, but she just was not having it, so I scooped her back into the plastic container. Well, it looks like this black widow is also not eating, which usually would mean I would go test the third and final food source, which was going to be just crickets, but a bit bigger. But I kind of have bad news because I don't really have a spider to feed these to. Yes, you heard that right. Since putting the third spider into the house interior section 2 days ago, I haven't seen it at all. It literally escaped my enclosure. And now, not only did I have one missing, but I also had 2 more that weren't eating. This is genuinely the worst idea I've had for a video. Like, pet black widow. Like, what am I thinking? One has escaped and is literally crawling around my garage. There's only one way I can make this up for the content. I gotta let the black widow crawl on my arm, just like I saw Coyote Peterson do at the start of the video. So, let's not waste any time.
No, you
Let me
don't.
get my mom in here. Hi, Mom.
You still have a video you can make.
Hi.
Alright, I'm bringing you in here today because I got a special job for you. As you know, I always keep the weirdest pets. And can you guess what pet's in here based off the decorations?
Oh my gosh. Is it a black widow?
Yeah, it's a black widow.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you see those paintings on the wall?
Yeah, I do.
A black widow, isn't that cool?
No.
Why? Okay, I got them onto this little tray for you.
Oh my
And basically,
gosh.
you can see it right there. What do you
No,
think?
no.
Say hi.
No. I wouldn't keep that as a pet.
Why? It's cute. Well, I did say I have a job for you, so can you hold the camera?
Oh my gosh, you are not gonna put this on you.
Here, hold the camera. Alright, as you see, we got the black widow in a nice little clear container. And I'm just gonna start by literally putting it on my sleeve like this until it crawls out. You see, the plan is to have it crawl onto my sleeve, and then from there, it'll crawl onto my hand. So I basically just waited until it started to crawl out. I have to be super calm right now. But as you could have guessed, of course things went wrong. Because as you can see, it just started to grasp onto the edge of the container and not let go at all. I was probably making it pretty mad, so I quickly transferred it to a piece of cardboard. cardboard. Okay, so I decided to just put them onto a piece of cardboard. I'll let them crawl out here. And after gathering together a bunch of courage, I just moved the cardboard in front of my hand to let it happen. Okay, I'm gonna do it in 3, 2, 1.
Lord Father, Jesus, please. Oh God, Lord Father, please.
I just moved the cardboard in front of my hand to let it happen. Okay, I'm gonna do it in 3, 2, 1.
Lord Father, Jesus, please. Oh God, Lord Father, please. Okay, it's time to go off. It's time to go off, Lord Father.
Oh,
She was praying? Why?
So nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, how did you feel doing that?
the heart was going 500 beats a second. Well, there you have it. Probably the stupidest pet I've ever kept. But hey, at least it's going to be an interesting addition to my collection. Guys, check out...
Anyways, hopefully y'all enjoyed me reacting to Tara Green, something I haven't done in years. I haven't done it in 5 years. 5 years! Anyways, hopefully y'all enjoy. Stay happy, healthy, stay beautiful, safe. Shout out to Tara Green. See y'all in the video. Love y'all. And peace.